Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 326 of Martha Runs the World. I'm making an effort to talk about all the legendary races around the world. This is going to take some time. It will be many years before I complete them all, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it lasts a long, long time because there are many, many races. I mean, there are a lot of them. I've already talked about several of them, so go back and check out a lot of them that I have done. I've talked about Boston, New York Marathon, the Dipsy race. My brain is not working right. It is early in the morning. Sorry about that. I've talked about the London Marathon. I've talked about the Barclays Marathons. I've talked about Beta Breakers. So there are a bunch of them that I have talked about. There is one that I have not talked about yet, so that is what I'm focusing on today. That is the Comrades Marathon. It is the top race in Central and South Africa. It is really a huge, huge race, and it is about time that we talk about it. It happens in the spring. The first Comrades Marathon happened on Tuesday, May 24th in 1921. Note that it is not a marathon distance race. In many parts of the world, the term marathon is a generic term. It doesn't mean 26.2 miles that it does in the U.S. When we think of the term marathon, we think only of the 26.2 distance, but no, it does mean different things. It is a more generic term. And I hear people of other countries going, well, I'm doing a marathon 20-miler. Okay, well, that's not a marathon, but I understand that you're using that term differently than we do here. Just be forewarned that other people from other parts of the world use that term differently than we do. The first Comrades happened on May 24th in 1921 in a single line across Commercial Road outside of City Hall, and stood 34 official and 4 unofficial scantily clad men. Now, this is what the website says, and I'll have a link to that. They were waiting for someone to fire a pistol and send them on a pioneering journey on foot to the coastal town in faraway Durban, an unimaginable 54 miles away. Now, the race started in Pietermaritzburg, I believe it's pronounced. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. But that's where it started, and it finished in Durban. Shortly after 7 a.m., a gunshot roared across the city, and the greatest sporting extravaganza in the world was underway. Yeah, there's just a little bit of hype in there. This race is different that every other year it runs in it switches directions. So the first year it ran down, and the second year it goes up. So the down direction is slightly longer than the up direction. The down direction is 89 kilometers, while the up direction is 87.7 kilometers. And so one direction you're going more uphill, and the other direction you're going more downhill. So it's a completely different race every other year. It just makes it kind of really, really fascinating, I think. And it's also an ultra race that's entirely on pavement, too. It's captured the hearts of thousands of ultra runners all over the world who try to run it. It's a hard race to get into, but some runners run it every single year. There are hundreds of amazing stories in the race. One of the greatest stories is in 1923, Frances Hayward ran as a woman who unofficially set in motion a dream that would take another 52 years to be realized. But unlike the first woman, Catherine Switzer, who ran Boston, there was no attempt to pull her from the race. So that says a lot. She ran it. They said, okay, you're unofficial, but they let her complete it, which is kind of cool, I think. The race annually takes place in KwaZulu-Natal province of South Africa between the cities of Durban and Pietermaritzburg. The direction of the race alternates each year between the up run, starting from Durban, and the down run, starting from Peter Maritzburg. And I think I might have gotten that wrong, but I apologize if I had that reversed previously when I was talking. The spirit of the Comrades Marathon is said to celebrate mankind's spirit over adversity. And that's what it's always been about. So it's a very important marathon in that it really, really highlights and represents something that this part of the country has worked on for so many years. The race was the idea of World War I veteran Vic Clapham to commemorate the South African soldiers killed during the war. Clapham, who endured a 2,700-kilometer route march through sweltering German East Africa, wanted the memorial to be a unique test of physical endurance of the runners. The course is marked by the Big Five set of hills. They are Polly Shorts, Inchanga, Botha's Hill, Fields Hill, and Cowie's Hill. The highest point of the race is 2,800 feet, 870 meters above sea level. The set of hills, together with other landmarks such as Lion Park, Umlas Road, Camperdown, Cato Ridge, Harrison Flats, Drummond, Hillcrest, Kloof, and others, have become well-known landmarks over the 100 years of the history of the race. It shows just how much this race is steeped in history. 40 official aid stations are marked along the route, and they are stocked with soft drinks, water sachets, energy drink sachets, and what they have is they have these really cool plastic sachets that they have the water in. They don't use cups in this part of the world. Instead, they use these plastic bags that have water, and they're called sachets, and they are much cheaper and actually better. And I wish they kind of used those here, but they don't. Anyway, so they have the water sachets, energy drink sachets, fruit, biscuits, which are cookies, energy bars, and cooked potatoes, which are salted, I'm sure. There are 8 physiotherapies, which are physical therapists, and first aid stations are also located at strategic points. They also have this traditional South African drink called maguey. It's non-alcoholic but fermented and is said to hold health benefits and have an acquired taste. It's made from the maguey flowers that come from the same family of plants as the yucca and agave plants. I'd be interested to try it. It sounds really kind of cool. I don't know if it tastes terrible or what. Who knows? Probably does. I don't know, but I've tried some weird stuff in my life. I'm always up for a challenge. I'm a very adventurous eater, shall we say. I'm not squeamish as far as eating weird stuff. Let me tell you that. I always liked that show, Bizarre Foods. That was always kind of fun. Okay. Over the years, the Comrades Marathon has evolved its own set of traditions. Since it began in 1921. In 1921, the race has officially started with the firing of a gun by either the mayor of Durban or Peter Maritzburg, depending on the start venue, while his or her counterpart of the Finnish city welcomes the winner and receives an official letter of greeting, which is exchanged between the two cities annually. The famous Vangelis Chariots of Fire has become associated with both the start and finish of the race. At the finish, the chairperson of the Comrades Marathon Association fires a gun to designate the 12-hour cutoff of the race. Yes, 12-hour cutoff. That's so fast. That's really fast. Other officials or celebrities fire the gun to designate the cutoff times for the various medals. Immediately following the final cutoff guns at 17:30, which would be, in our time, 5:30 p.m., a lone bugler plays the last post to signify the official end of the race. Runners must complete the 89-kilometer journey in 12 hours or they will not receive a medal. The run is one of the few races run gun to gun, meaning you have 12 hours from when the start gun goes off, not when you manage to step over the starting mat. That means if you're at the tail end of the race and it takes a half an hour for you to get to the start, you've lost that half hour. So you may only have 11 and a half hours to finish the race. That's even harder. Really, really hard. This is not a race for those of us slowpokes. Trust me, this is not a race for me. I will never be running this race. Like I said, every year the race switches directions. So you may like the uphill better, you may like the downhill better. It doesn't matter. It's all on pavement and it's really, really hard. Now, here's some fun facts about the race. The average age of a female Comrades runner is 40. The average age of a male Comrades runner is 42. The youngest person to win the Comrades Marathon was Phil Masterson Smith in 1931. He was 19. Now the age limit, the youngest you can be to run the race is 20. So that record will never be broken. I find that fascinating. 1975 was the year that the Comrades Marathon opened the up entries to allow both women and runners of color to enter the marathon. It took that long for it to be integrated. That's really sad. Very, very sad, but at least it did it. That year, Vincent Roccabelli was the first Black man to ever finish Comrades, and Elizabeth Cavanaugh was the first woman to officially win Comrades. Sam Balala was the first Black man to win Comrades. He won in 1989. The leading male will average a speed of 15.1 kilometers an hour. Woo! That is very, very fast. Very fast indeed. The average man's temperature will reach 40 degrees Celsius after 3 hours. That's 104 degrees in Fahrenheit. Avoid heat stroke on hotter days by pouring water over your head. I mean, it gets very, very hot. That's the thing. You're in Africa. You're in South Africa, so the heat is probably the worst enemy you have on that course. You have to constantly cool yourself off. You have to constantly pouring water on your head. Make sure that you have great sun protection. Make sure that you have a hat on your head. Make sure that you are constantly cooling yourself, that you are hydrated, that you're constantly drinking fluids. It's a rough race. This is not one for someone who doesn't like heat. Now, runners who have run Comrades 25 times and finished 25 times, they get to run it the rest of their life for free. I mean, if you've run it 25 times and finished, you should, right? 2013 was one of the toughest Comrades in history, thanks to unprecedented high temperatures and winds. Out of the 19,907 entries, 14,336 started, and only 10,188 finished. 7,000 of them finished in the final 90 minutes. That shows you how tough of a race it was that year. So there is around 19,000, 20,000 people who enter the race. So it's a big race, but it is limited to that many. It's a really, really big race. I can't imagine what the start line is. It must just be insanity for like the first few miles until they kind of like filter a little bit and get a little bit within that certain time. But it doesn't filter that much because it has such a tight cutoff. It's probably crowded the whole time. Yeah, another reason why I wouldn't run it. I don't like crowded races. To secure your place for the Comrades Marathon, you have to run an official marathon in a qualifying time. Now, in 2020, the official qualifying time you would have to run would be under 4 hours, 49 minutes, and 59 seconds. So you have to be pretty fast. I mean, if you're a good marathon runner, you can get it under that time. It's not that fast, but you have to be a decent speed, I would say. The Comrade Marathons Association does not have records for the up and down runs as the distances differ with each run. Instead, they have the fastest recorded time for each route. I just have it for the down run. The male record for the 2020 down run was 5 hours, 18 minutes, and 19 seconds by David Gatby in 2016. And the female record for the 2020 down run is 5 hours, 54 minutes, and 43 seconds by Frith Vandermeer in 1989. Those are very, very fast, amazing records. And lastly, here's some facts about the refreshments consumed in numbers during the Comrades Marathon. They had 30,000 liters of Coke, Fanta and cream soda, 10,000 liters, the paper cups of Coke, 430,000, water sachets, 2 million, energy drink sachets, 480,000, Megway, number 32,000 sachets, bananas, 9 tons, oranges, 4.5 tons, energy biscuits, 500 kilograms, salty cracks biscuits, I don't know what those are, but 500 kilograms, race food energy bars, 20,000, cooked potatoes, 1.5 tons. So a lot of work goes into that. And you imagine there are 40 aid stations. So all of this stuff has to be transported to all of these aid stations along these 50 plus miles. That is an incredible feat. I mean, it's just amazing how these races get put together, and they just get put together so well. I've heard this is a really, really well-run race, and people do it every year, and they love it. And there's just a passion about this race that people have once they do it. They just love it. And I've seen I'm not sure which direction it was, but I've seen the pictures of people going into the stadium, into the soccer stadium, football stadium, I should say, and where you hear the Vangelis theme, Chariots of Fire music, and they're coming in, and it's just a very emotional end of your race. So if you have the money to travel to Africa, and if you are speedy, this would be a fantastic race, I would think. A dream race, really. You can't beat this. It's just incredible. Okay, well, that is about the Comrades. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my training, about what's going on. I have a weird job in that my hours, I just don't work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I always have Monday and Tuesdays off, and every other weekend I work. So sometimes I can't get my long runs in the weekend. So I have to kind of make do. I have to get them in somehow. And now that it's lighter out, what I used to do last year I have my, and I did before my accident too as well, is I have a fast pack. So on Saturdays, Saturdays and Sundays every other week, I work 9 to 5. And when it's light out now, what I do is I wear scrubs to work because I work in an urgent care clinic. So on Saturdays, I change it into my running clothes after work and I run home. And if I go the long way around, I get about 4.5 miles in. And that's a nice run after work. So I have a fast pack that I can put all my scrubs in and everything from the work day, and I can change into my running clothes and run home. And I did that Saturday, and that was the first time I did it this year. So it was kind of fun. It was really fun, actually. But I've forgotten how hard it is to run with a fast pack. The way the fast pack sits on my upper back is nice. It's actually quite comfortable. I mean, you don't feel it if you're walking with it. You don't really feel it because it's light and it sits up on your back, so there isn't any pressure or anything on your back, and there aren't any hot spots, and you don't feel any of that. It feels very comfy. If I was going to hike with it, it would be great. I could hike with it for miles and miles. But once you start running, it feels a little bit heavier. Not heavier, but you get a little bit more tired easily. So I took it a little bit slower, and I took a lot more walking breaks, but it was way fun. It was a beautiful night out, too. It was really nice. A lot of people out. And it's nice to see, I live in San Francisco, so it's nice to see a lot more tourists out this weekend. It's nice to see tourism back. It's nice to see people out traveling, people enjoying the city. So that was kind of cool. And so I work kind of towards the marinas. So I ran through Fort Mason and Fisherman's Wharf and then up through the Embarcadero. So that was kind of cool. And this is really funny. As I was running down the Embarcadero, there's where the Horatio Hornblower yachts and boats are, and they take people out to cruise along the bay and underneath the Golden Gate Bridge and along by Alcatraz and everything. And apparently one of the high schools was having their high school dance, their prom out there. And it was going to be kind of a breezy night, so it wasn't going to be that warm on the bay. And all the girls had their beautiful prom dresses, but none of them had like little jackets or anything. They're all sleeveless, and they had these beautiful dresses, but none of them had like little jackets or anything. So they're going to get they're getting their pictures taken by their parents and everything, and then they were going to go on these boats. And I'm thinking, these girls are going to be cold, but they're still going to have a great time. So it was really fun to watch them get all their pictures taken and be all excited about being on the boat. So that was kind of cool. And I like that. It was nice getting that run in. It was nice fitting in my running when I can, because you have to work around your life. You have to fit in running. If you have a different job like I do with different hours, you still got to get your running in. So it doesn't really matter. You can make excuses all you want. You can say, well, I can't get it in because I'm tired. I have to do this and this and this, so I can't get my run in. Well, then I guess it's not that important to you, because you got to find time where you can. I mean, it's not going to make it. It's not going to do it for you. You have to find the time to do it. So find the time, make a time to do it. Even if you can't get as long as of a run in that you want, make the time to get some kind of a run in. Now, on Monday, I will go and get my long run in that I couldn't get Saturday. I'll get a long-ish run in, I should say. I'll get a long-ish run in on Monday, and then next Saturday I have off, so I'll get a very long run in. So I'll get a very long run in every other week. I don't get a very long run in every week, and that's fine, because it would probably be too hard on my body anyway. I'm a little older. I don't mind taking every other week off. As long as I get a very long run in every other week, I'm good. I'm fine with that. You have to find out what works for you and then use that. And it doesn't matter if you can't find a training plan that works that way. It's fine if you make your own training plan. Training plans are so generic. They don't really work for any one person perfectly. I would say make your own training plan, because that's usually the way it works anyway. There's no training plan that's going to be 100% perfect. So make your own, adjust accordingly, and go for it. All right, that is my show, and everything is on martharunstheworld.com. I'll have links to where I got my information and everything on the website. And if you want to email me, it's martharunstheworld@gmail.com. I'll also have the link for the Facebook page for the show, so you can put your likes or you can follow or whatever you want to do. It would be great to do that, because I had to restart that because of all the problems with Facebook. What a pain, but it is restarted and it is there. So thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate it. And on that note, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.